The problem with all the Western countries is they've given up their identity and they've said, oh, that's evil. We're all civic nationalists. We're all economic zones. And what we're concerned with is increasing the GDP, right? So it's undoing that and saying, no, actually, our primary concern is not the GDP. Our primary concern is not refugees from Ooga Booga land. Our primary concern is our people. And that is a specific group of people. It's not everybody who was born here over the last 1,000 years. So Steve Laws gets invited to talk to this guy, Andrew Gold, who I had never heard of before this, but like one look at this guy and I have him instantly pegged. It was easy to peg this guy right away. He's like another Konstantin Kissin. Apparently he's former BBC and he was ousted from the BBC for being heretical, for being like anti-woke or politically incorrect or what. I don't know what the exact reason was, but he's one of these guys, right? He's one of these guys of like, oh, the woke mob can't handle me. I'm too much of a truth teller. So I'm going to go out and start my own podcast. And then it's like, and then I'm going to bring on this racist guy and mog him and like do the calm intellectual voice and dismantle racism and explain why this is like all bad and awful and why I hate all the problems in society as much as the next person, but I would never, ever, 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 ever flip the fix everything easily switch. One of those kinds of guys. Are you a racist?
If that makes me racist, so be it. I wear it proudly. I've had enough. I want everyone gone.
So someone's going to come knock on my door.
It's not personal. It's necessary.
That will not work.
To find out who would have to be removed, the easiest way to do this is medical records.
This is mental.
I don't believe you're European. I think you're Jewish.
But I'm not going to Israel.
Yeah, if I had power, mate, you would be.
You shake your leg and get aggressive when we talk about Jews being European. I'm not shaking my leg and just giving you...
I just have a twitch.
The twitch only comes up when Jews are mentioned. We can move on to another topic if you want to.
I can envision millions of people being thrown onto planes and deported from my country.
I think Tommy Robinson will fight against that.
Tommy Robinson will do, because he's a traitor. Tommy Robinson has loads of foreign friends. He promotes multiculturalism. He's a Zionist piece of shit.
Do you have any room in your mind for that you might be wrong?
No.
See, that's the sign of an ideologue.
Ooh, an ideologue.
Can you do me a favour? Steve Laws, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me on, buddy. I appreciate it.
You're very welcome to be here. It's good to have this conversation. And let's start with, I suppose, who are you? You were recently on Liam Tuff's podcast, good friend of mine, where you had this debate, which we'll sort of get into those things. And on it, he said, you know, are you a racist? And you said you don't shy away from that term. So can we just start with, are you a racist?
If you want to call me a racist, it really doesn't bother me in the slightest. My priority is putting my people first. If that makes me racist, then so be it. I wear it proudly. That's my position. I wouldn't go around and say, hi, Andrew, I'm Steve the racist. That's not how I'd introduce myself. I would just say, I put my people first. I'm a nationalist. And I love my people, and I want to protect their future. So if that makes me racist, so be it. I wear it proudly.
In that sense, you're probably the most prominent racist in the country, the biggest racist in the UK.
Well, nationalist is the term I would use. I wouldn't introduce myself as racist. But yes, I would argue that probably one of the largest nationalist accounts in the UK. Not civic nationalist, but real nationalist.
Okay, so that's something that we'll have to explain, because a lot of the audience will know what all of that means, but a lot won't be in with, you know, the ins and outs. There's kind of a civil war almost on the right. I don't even know if it's a civil war going on between, what is it? You can explain civil nationalism and ethno-nationalism. What are these terms?
So ethno-nationalism is nationalism. There is only one form of nationalism. Civic nationalism is some absurd mixed direction that's been taken away. It's realistically, civic nationalists are liberals that do not like Islam. And that's pretty much their position. A lot of civic nationalists think that anyone can be British. They think that you come over, you're born here, you're British.
For UK context, that's a really good definition of civic nationalist. A liberal who doesn't like Islam. That's pretty much tells you everything that you would actually need to know about what civic nationalists believe.
Position, and they think
even that might almost be going too far. They wouldn't ever take it as far as like we should ban mosques. They just like to talk about Islamic terror and grooming gang type shit to rile up their base for donations, basically. That's what a civic nationalist is. They would never suggest anything that would even fix the Islam problem, much less any of the other problems.
That's okay. Whereas a nationalist, my position is that England belongs to the English, becoming a demographic minority in our own homeland. That's unacceptable.
So civic, I suppose, is about the country. That's what it means. It's like it's a nationalism that just is and of itself. It's just nationalism. And then you're saying it's just nationalism, but then those who are like me would say yours is ethno-nationalism because it is dependent on one's ethnicity.
But that is nationalism. It's based on a nation state which is built upon ethnicities. So on that stage, yes, basically to simplify, the civic nationalist approach is about...
This is kind of just a rehash of the Liam Tufts thing, but so you guys already know I agree with Steve Laws on all of this stuff.
Okay.
Whereas ours is about ethnicity.
And I fully endorse and support calling yourself a nationalist and not calling yourself an ethno-nationalist. Like he's doing. Like I totally think he's doing this absolutely correctly, because doing it that way opens up this opportunity to explain to people the etymology of a nation, of the language, and how that's been subverted over time. If you just call yourself an ethno-nationalist, it's like you're accepting their perversion of the language. Whereas if you just call yourself a nationalist, it's like you're using the language the way it's actually meant to be used. So you should absolutely do it that way. Of course, I call myself a Christian nationalist, but I would never call myself a Christian white nationalist or a Christian ethno-nationalist unless prompted to, because that's redundant. The white part is redundant. The ethno part is redundant.
People and our blood and our people.
What is an ethnicity exactly? It's not quite a race or a culture, is it?
No, it's sort of in between. So an ethnic group are a distinct group of people that have been formed over a various amount of time. So the English are a distinct ethnic group, the Scottish are a distinct ethnic group, the Welsh are a distinct ethnic group, and so forth. And these people are the owners of this land. We've created this land. Our people have built this country. They've put blood and soil into this. And the future of our people is England. And without England, without the English, there is no England. So ultimately, the ethnic groups have the ultimate hierarchy on the country. So England, the English are white people, but we are English by ethnicity. So not all white people are English, but all English people are white.
Not all white people are English, but all English people are white. Okay, I see what you're saying. Of English ethnicity then, how do we boil that down? What do you do with kind of Saxons, Anglo-Saxons, Celts, all of those kinds of things?
So this is an argument that leftists...
Yeah, here we go with the, well, there is no such thing as an English person, really, because they're just collections of Celtic tribes or whatever.
Would always, and civic nationalists would always present to you, and they'll say, well, what about this small admixture of, let's have a look at the world map. This is the world map. This tiny little circle in the middle is where our people were formed from the Germanic sphere. And we built this land over 1,000 years. Nobody would say that the Maori are not indigenous to New Zealand, but everyone would say that the English are not indigenous to England, even though we've been in this land longer.
I would say the English are indigenous to England.
But overall, from a leftist argument, that's what they would say.
The left would say that.
Yeah.
There's some sympathy with this idea of like, hey, come on, there's no magic soil. The people who built this incredible culture, which we've got here, I think the best culture in the world that we've built, were built by a bunch of people of similar ethnicities, right? But it is true that they are multiple ethnicities, right? English, we are talking about several things, and with Scottish, it's like the Scots and the Celts and the Vikings and stuff.
We are a distinct ethnic group that has been built up over time. So over 1,000 years, these distinct groups that have formed together to create the ethnogenesis of the English, that's who we are as a people. So to deny that and say we're various ethnic groups is ridiculous. Of course, we're distinct from the Scottish, or we're distinct from the Welsh and the Irish and so forth, but we're also very similar because we have a lot of shared history. But to say that we're not a distinct ethnic group is completely denying who the English are, and that's unacceptable.
But it's a distinct ethnic group made up of several ethnicities.
Yes, and that's how ethnic groups are formed over time.
And they came together and did well. So it's not inconceivable. There are problems at the moment, but it's not inconceivable that other ethnicities could join this and also then become part of this greater ethnicity that builds something better.
No, they can't. We've built our people as who we are now. We don't want to become. We don't England to form into another. We don't the English to form into another ethnic group that's mixed in with some Bangladeshis and some Indians or some Africans or whatever it may be, because then that's not the English.
Yeah, but that's what the Anglo-Saxons would have said when the Normans came over. We don't want them coming over in, and it actually went pretty well in the end.
Yeah, and this is over 1,000 years ago, and these times are very different to what they are now. Those were invaders. They were not welcomed in to actually replace your people and let them sit back and watch it happen, and actually pay for the privilege of it as well.
Well,
That's
they assimilated and they mixed and then they created this amazing culture. There were also back then from 1066 there were Jews as well. So we had Normans, Jews,
but Jews were also expelled from the UK as well.
Yeah, and then brought back in.
Yeah,
unfortunately. Right, I see. Several hundred years ago.
But for coin clipping, and was it also poisoning the wells, or was that something else? Hold on. It's funny how he really quickly wants to brush over that part, right? Hey, Grok, why were the Jews expelled from England?
The Jews were expelled from England in 1290 under King Edward I. It stemmed from deep-seated anti-Semitism, economic tensions, and religious prejudices. They faced heavy taxation, false accusations like blood libel, and restrictions on trade. Edward used them as scapegoats during political strife, seizing their assets and forcing them out.
So the Jews were expelled because they were being taxed too much? Are you fucking serious right now?
No, that's not what I said. They were taxed to death because they were Jews. Kings squeezed them dry since Christians weren't allowed to lend money with interest back then. When the Jews had nothing left to give, and the blood libel rumors were flying, Edward just straight up confiscated everything they owned and kicked them out to look like a pious hero and solve his money problems in one go. It was straight up robbery wrapped in anti-Semitic bullshit. Not they got taxed too much, so oh well, expulsion time.
So the Jews were totally innocent. They weren't doing anything. They weren't clipping the coins or poisoning the wells or kidnapping Christian children and drinking their blood.
Of course they weren't. Those were all vicious lies cooked up to justify the hate. No one was flipping coins or poisoning wells. That's medieval propaganda.
Wow. Crazy how like every single country did that to them for no reason at all.
I think Jews have contributed quite well to this country.
How would you say so?
Well, I think they're sort of 30% of Nobel Prize winners. So they're pretty good in technology. Einstein is pretty good.
So does that mean that because some of these people achievements that all of their people can stay here?
Well, I think they've actually been responsible for an overwhelming amount of the number of the achievements.
I would argue that your achievements are irrelevant because our people come first. It doesn't matter, even if our people struggle and we're the worst people in the world, we are still a distinct group of people that deserves our own homeland. Jewish people have, despite the controversy around it, have their own homeland to return to. There is nowhere else for my people to go to. This is our final battleground. You guys have somewhere else to go. We do not.
Is that where you would send me, Israel?
Yeah.
What if Israel didn't want me?
They would take you. You've got Jewish ethnicity.
What if I don't want to go to Israel?
That's not really your choice, unfortunately. But if I'm in a position of power where I can control the immigration situation in the country, it's not a choice for you. Unfortunately, you may not like the outcome, but that's what I would do. Yes.
And look, I think this has to be a place where people can say what they want to say. I mean, that's the whole point of Heretics. It's the whole point of YouTube. It's the whole point of all of this. Conversations that are not being had on TV. So, fair play to you for saying it. I don't want to go. I don't speak Hebrew. I don't know that culture. I've been there a couple of times to visit over the years, as many not Jewish people have as well.
Been there a couple of times. What are the odds?
But I never really considered myself anything other than English from a young age.
So if you had to choose between your
just coincidentally chose. It's funny because one of the places I most want to go is England, which is because I'm Anglo. So England is like my ancestral homeland. But I would never say, right? I wouldn't say but I only have ever considered myself Canadian. I don't even believe him when he says that, is what I'm getting at. When he says I've only ever considered myself English, he's lying. He considers himself to be a British Jew, which is very much different from English.
Jewish ethnic group and the English ethnic group, who would you choose?
I don't believe in caring about ethnic groups. I would just choose England as a country. If we were talking about England versus Israel, I would choose England every time.
So what about if all of the Jews that was in the UK started defending Israel in the UK? Would you condemn them?
Yeah.
So you're in a distinct group. That still doesn't change my opinion that I would remove you from
There is no evidence that British Jews are more loyal to Israel than the UK. Wow, great fact check.
Country. And it's not personal. In my opinion, it's necessary. And no disrespect, but some of your people...
Hold on. Let's fact check the fact check. Grok style.
Yeah, there are solid surveys on this, mostly from the Institute for Jewish Policy Research, JPR, the gold standard for UK Jewish community data. British Jews have a strong emotional attachment to Israel. About 75% feel connected to it, with roughly half saying very attached in the latest 2025 polls, up a bit since October 7th. Around 90% support Israel's existence as a Jewish state, and most see it as central to their Jewish identity. But on the support Israel more than the UK bit, like dual loyalty tropes, no credible survey shows that. Those accusations come way more from anti-Semitic views in the general public.
So 90% support Israel as a Jewish state, but not England as an English state.
Very much responsible for the immigration that comes into our country.
Well, this
If
reminds...
you look at the organisations,
Gold standard.
the institutions, the politicians who they're married to, the leaders of these NGOs, etc., they're all Jewish.
Yeah.
And that means that these people, I'm not saying
The organizations, institutions, the politicians, and who they are married to are not all Jewish.
all Jews do this, but there is a strong influence in immigration to the UK with connections to the Jewish
Hashtag
organisations
not all.
and Jewish lobbies. And to me, that's very problematic because our people are being demographically replaced and your people are helping that happen.
There are a lot of Jews doing that.
Yeah.
And this is a cause of frustration among many Jews who are silenced. I mean, who aren't able to put forward the other side so much. And the reason for that is mostly TV channels and the like will not even let us speak. I can't go on. As much as you're much more controversial than I am, I'm still so controversial that I can't even get my view on our TV channels. I think this reminds me of, I had a sort of debate with a human rights lawyer recently who was the ultra kind of woke, let's bring in lots of immigration, those kinds of, that was the kind of thing. And he had some Jewish ancestry in him, but mostly was white English, right? And most people in the tweets below and all the comments were saying, aha, see that guy, Clive Stafford Smith, he's a Jew, that's why. And the irony to me was, here are two people talking, but one of them is fully Jewish. I'm as Jewish as it gets, Ashkenazi, all of those things. Arguing vehemently against immigration with someone who has some Jewish blood in him, who is arguing for immigration. But the only blood in the room at that point arguing for immigration and more immigration was white English blood. So it's definitely something that I think you guys sometimes miss. There's a huge number of woke people in this country who are white English. You've noticed those people.
Yeah. And those people are a problem, but they are still our people, whether we like it or not. I don't agree with their ideology. I don't agree with what they want for this country, but they're still my people. They still have a right to this land.
Well, so do Jews. They've been here since 1066.
Yeah, but they also do not. This is not your land.
But
this is
what
not
does
your
that mean?
country.
Whose
It
land
means-
was it? It wasn't the Normans' land before they
This is
came
the
over.
English land. This is built by England.
And what does
belongs
England
to the
mean?
English.
England comprises
You
Jews.
haven't been here since 1066 if you were expelled in the 1200s.
means
well.
England
Yeah.
is the land of the Angles. It's
Right.
named after
Well,
us.
tell the
right?
Normans that.
The Normans didn't really have much input in terms of our DNA.
They definitely changed and shaped our culture.
They shaped our culture and influenced our organisations and institutions, but they very much did not interfere in our ethnic group in terms of our ethnicity.
How's that possible? What does that mean?
Because they're very much the elite. They're very much the elites that came over when there was the Normans and so forth. But going back to your point, England belongs to the English. It doesn't matter whether you do not like that outcome. This is why, for instance, you would be in the civic nationalist position because you've got skin in the game. Because if you lent into the ethno state sort of approach, like your homeland does, like if, for instance, Israel's allowed an ethno state, sure, it's around 78%, but they're expanding and they're making more living room for Jewish people. And the only people that really have any right in that country are Jewish.
Non-Jewish Israelis, such as Arabs, who make up 21%, hold Israeli citizenship with full voting rights. They serve as politics. Well, he just said it was like around 7. Didn't he say like exactly 79%? That's crazy how like he's super accurate and he gets fact checked anyway.
Approach like your homeland does. Like if, for instance, Israel's allowed an ethno state, sure, it's around 78%, but they're
78.
expanding. And
So
they're
he
making
actually
more
undershot it, according to the fact check, by 1%.
living room for Jewish people, and the only people that really have any right in that country are Jewish people.
What do you mean any rights?
A non-Jew could not lead that country. Why can Israel have an ethno state, but the English can't? We only have one land. This is our land. It doesn't matter.
You don't really need a law when you're 80%, when you're 80% of the population.
where you come from.
And also when you're Jews, because Jews are like the most racially conscious people alive. So good luck. Wake me up when a non-Jew gets elected president of Israel.
How long you've been here, it doesn't matter if you was born here, your grandparents were born here, it means nothing to me. Total remigration, everyone has to go.
I think Israel, we need to remember it's actually several ethnicities, really. I mean, when you go there, probably at least half of the people there are not white, so they're not Ashkenazi Jews. They're not the same ethnicity as me. We're talking about Ethiopian Jews, Mizrahi, Sephardi Jews.
It's a Jewish state. It's a Jewish state.
It's a Jewish state.
Yeah, it's not it's not an ethnic state on terms of separate Jewish ethnicities. It's a state for the Jews.
It's about a culture, though, really, with Jews.
Yes,
if you converted to Judaism, you could go as well. It's not an easy thing to do.
If I converted to Judaism tomorrow, it would not take me in. Not that I would do it.
They might not take you in.
No. So this is my point. It's all in favour of the Jews. Everything in that country is in favour of the Jews. And there's nothing wrong with that. You want a country that's in favour of your own people. Fine. Crack on. My problem is that it affects my country. What goes on in Israel affects my country. Why does that happen? Why should that happen?
He's not wrong. There's this weird thing that people like Andrew Gold try to do, where they try to argue as if Israel's not an ethno state, right? Oh, but anybody can become president of Israel. Oh, okay, so it's not an ethno state. Got it.
Why are my politicians in the pocket of Jewish lobby groups? Why are all of these NGOs flooding immigrants into my country? Why are we allowing this to happen?
I think if you look for a pattern, you're going to see it, unfortunately. And if you see
but patterns exist for a reason.
You look at the comments on this video. It's exactly what you would expect. It's Piers Morgan all over again. He casually states white people will eventually become extinct, then faults Steve. We haven't gotten to that part of the interview, but I did see that clip on Twitter. The center has failed to listen. So all the comments are like supporting, right? There will be more and more people like Steve, right? So yeah, crack on. Exactly.
Well, yeah, because humans are scared. Humans are scared, so they look for patterns to find a way to fight against something. Your country...
So if you look for patterns of Jews supporting it, you're going to, because it's there. Because it's there. Like I could obviously name a pattern that we could look for that isn't there. You know what I mean? If you look for patterns of bears writing novels, you're going to find, no, you're not. Bears don't write novels. Jews support immigration. Cool. This is the high verbal IQ trick. You gotta learn how to watch out. Oh, well, if you look for patterns, you're gonna find them. Really? So if I look for patterns that aren't there, I'm going to find them, or am I finding them because they're there? Nice try. Nice try with your Jewish verbal tricks, but I see through that one.
And my country has been recently completely changed demographically, and it's a really scary thing. So we look for who can we blame? Who can we blame this on? Look, I'm Jewish, all my family's Jewish, everyone I know is Jewish. I can tell you none of them are pro-immigration, particularly Islamic immigration.
How many of them are pro-remigration? For non. This is exactly what I'm talking about. This is exactly what I said at the start. I see all the problems and I'm against all of the problems, but I hate it. I hate what's happening. But I would never, ever, ever flip the fix everything right now switch.
Which is the majority of what we're talking about. But you're seeing a pattern in certain NGOs. I see it on Twitter all the time. Jeff Bezos and Bill Gates and Keir Starmer, all these people are Jewish, and Tony Blair and David Cameron. And then none of them are Jewish.
No, but their advisors were.
Yes,
the Home Secretary, like for instance, the Blair era, who flooded into the country. On their cabinet, like 5 of them were Jews.
Well, that's because Jews are overachievers.
No, they're overrepresented.
There were not 5 Jews. The problem, it's kind of like a red herring, or just it's sort of like a distraction to do this whole thing where you talk about how much of the immigration is because of Jews. It's gone down this road because the guy is like a Jew, and also because he knows this is shaky ground. He knows he can, it's like kind of, that he can do stuff like this, that he can catch Steve Laws out being like, oh, the NGOs are not all Jewish or this or that. And it's sort of like it doesn't matter that much.
As well as I
And
said.
they're also-
Even
and
if
they
you're
also have
completely directionally correct, which obviously he is.
the victim cards.
But this
as
should
well.
be a good thing to be overrepresented because you've
No,
obviously
it's not.
done
Why
quite
should
well.
a foreign-
But
why
it
should
wasn't
a foreign-
DEI policies, was it, back then?
But why should a foreign ethnic group be overrepresented in my
Because
own
it's not a
homeland?
foreign ethnic group. They've been here for over 1,000
No,
years.
you are a foreign ethnic group. You're
Been
not
here over
English.
1,000 years.
You're not English.
Been here
so
over
you're
1,000 I am
I
English.
don't care if you've been here 2,000 years. It's not your land. England belongs to the English.
Have you done a My Heritage test or one of those tests?
Yes.
Right, and what, 100% English?
9.
Yeah, and this is why Christian nationalists have a better position on this stuff because as Christians we can say, okay, well, the Hebrews were in Egypt for 400 years. They didn't become Egyptians, and that's Christian doctrine. That's in the Bible. That's coming from God. So that's just a stronger argument than saying, well, it doesn't matter how long you've been here. It's we have proof from God. Look, you don't change your nationality just because of a certain amount of time spent in a place.
8%.
What's the other 2%?
Irish.
All right. Well, there you go.
There you go. English.
Well, partly Irish.
What with 2%?
Is Harry Kane English?
He's Irish.
He's Irish.
Yes, because he's got Irish ancestry.
This kind of obsession.
You're going down the route of what about this 2%? That's not an argument that I even present. This is not an argument that I come through
I think
using my campaign. My campaign is England belongs to
you know what I
English.
mean.
If your grandparents are English and their grandparents are English,
Oh, good.
you're English.
Well, then fine, I'm English.
You're not
Good.
English, though. You're
Well,
not
good
an English.
then.
If
Is
you're not-
outsized a word? It's like a kind of word a British person would use. Exceptionally large.
My grandparents were English.
You're not English.
Well, they're all born in England.
Doesn't matter. Being born in England. If I was born in a barn, would I be a fucking horse? do you know what I mean? It's ridiculous. Using that argument is nonsense. Andrew.
I think to.
I noticed I got distracted by the super chat, but I noticed how Andrew Gold said, have you done your DNA? And then immediately pivoted to do you see how it's weird to have this obsession with ancestry? It's you asked him about it.
Find someone's nationality, you can probably look at where they and their ancestors are from. And if mine are from England, then I think I've got a good argument for saying that I am English. Now, you would say ethnically English, and I would say, okay, well, what is that? Again,
And here I would just say, as a Christian, the Bible teaches me that that's not true.
we're going back to that. And I don't think you have an answer to that, unfortunately. Anglo-Saxon, Norman,
So
Celtic,
that is an answer as a Christian.
and back from 1066, Jews.
So this is a thing, right? From your perspective, all you care about is the Jewish argument. All your interest isn't what's best for this country. Your interest is, I want to stay in this country. It's for me. I want to stay here. My family were born here.
But why do you say that?
That's not to say that you strictly need to be Christian to have an answer. The genetics is an answer. You know what I mean? The fact that your genetics are Jewish and my genetics are English, that's the thing. But I'm just saying it that argument he's making of well, we've been here for X number of years, that's very compelling to people. Right. It's like the idea of African Americans. If you tell people, well, no, they can't be Americans because they're black. People are what do you mean? They've been here for 400 years. You know what I mean? So I think Christians have a better position on that, but I'm not saying you're wrong if you just talk about genetics. It's just a little bit weaker.
That's all we've spoken about so far. Why do you say that all of my interest is Jewishness?
In terms of persuasion, from my perspective, it's a subjective thing. I know a lot of people who aren't Christians think that those arguments are not persuasive at all. But you have to keep in mind, you're talking about a majority Christian country. So if you're talking to English people or you're talking to Americans, the majority of people you're talking to are Christians. So that's the point I'm making. It doesn't count for nothing that as Christians, we have this argument that is persuasive to people who share that faith.
We can move on to another topic if you want to.
No, carry on. By
We
all
went
means.
Jewish because you said I shouldn't be here anymore.
No, I
and
don't-
you sent
I
me
don't
back
believe
to
you should
Israel.
be. Yeah.
Well, I understand that, and I respect the opinion, and I think
And
we
it's
should have
not
this
personal,
conversation.
and it's not
I know.
personal. It's just necessary. My people are being demographically replaced in my homeland. A lot of your people are responsible for that. And
But more of your people are.
yeah, there are people who played a
Vastly
part
more.
as well.
Vastly more of your people are responsible.
Yes, but having foreign subversives help those
But we're not
things.
foreign. We've been here since 1066.
You
We've gone
are
over
foreign.
this.
To me, you're
We've been
foreign.
here since
To me,
1066.
you're foreign. You
Yeah.
disagree.
Well, to me, you're 2% Irish.
I'm an Englishman.
Yes.
I'm looking at you as a
Yes.
Jew,
Yeah.
and I'm telling you you are foreign.
Well, you wouldn't have known
may
that if I
not
didn't tell you.
No, your name's Gold.
Yeah, well, if we change the name.
from Goldstein.
Yeah, we could change it to another name.
Yeah, so that's what you're subverting yourself even more to try and hide amongst the population. It's just proving my point. People are foreign.
Oh, that was a really good, quick one from Steve there. And he's kind of got the look of like, oh, damn, I just got burned. I just got cooked. It's also just very telling, which I mean, he self-admittedly says that he doesn't believe in immutable characteristics, which is to say, because he's basically a blank slateist, which is so retarded, but that's what he is. He's like, oh, well, you just don't like the name. Like your problem is I have a Jewish name, so let's call me Churchill instead. Now everything's fine, right? And it's like it shows like the how hard it is for people with totally different worldviews to relate to each other. Because this guy thinks when Steve calls him foreign, he's like the name is the problem, but Steve was just pointing to the name as like the proof of the foreignness, not the actual issue, right?
What I'm trying to say to you is I actually understand where you're coming from, and I get it, and it's a scary time right now, and it does feel that way, and it might be hard for you to imagine this, but for Jewish people as well, most of us, it does also feel really scary. For black people, it probably feels very scary. I can't speak for them. It feels scary what is happening, how quickly it's happening to this country. So I do get it. I'm not trying to have a go. I get where you're coming from. What I'm trying to say to you is,
it honestly like makes me sick to my stomach listening to people at this point who are like, oh, I get it, dude. It sucks. It really sucks what's happening. And then you're like, okay, so here's how we fix it. Instead of having the country be brownified, we whiteify. And they're like, whoa, 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 whoa. Like, it makes me sick to like, stop pretending like you're scared when you actually support it. You literally support what's happening. So fuck you. Why are you pretending?
possible to enact. So,
how is it impossible to enact?
Because you can't really imagine a situation where
no,
people
you
are going...
can't imagine it. I can. I can envision it straight away. I can envision millions of people being thrown onto planes and deported from my country.
I don't think
that.
you've thought it through.
What do you mean I haven't thought it through?
There would be a massive civil war.
What? Define the civil war.
Okay, okay.
How would you envision a civil war? Because how I envision...
Most people would stand up for the minorities being thrown out.
But by most, define most.
Okay.
Those that live in the city centres.
Think of all the people who support you, right?
Yeah.
And then think of everyone else in the country.
Yeah.
And which one's bigger?
Yeah, but you're assuming everyone in the country is going to take that side, when in reality they're going to sit out and not get involved.
No, I think people will get
but you
very
think
involved.
the average mum and dad that goes on the school run is going to go out on the street and fight against people because they're deporting immigrants?
I think Tommy Robinson will fight against that.
Yeah, Tommy Robinson will do because he's a traitor.
Yeah, well, he gets hundreds of thousands of people going to his rallies. How many people go to yours?
Yeah, but he's getting hundreds of thousands of people, leading them astray, and they're only going to that rally because it's the only rally in town.
Do you have any room in your mind for that you might be wrong?
No.
See, that's the sign of an ideologue.
I don't care.
Yeah, but you might be wrong here. What's going on?
No,
man, this is like a really high IQ debate tactic here. Hey, mate, you might be wrong. Well, I'm not wrong. Oh, but you might be. Damn. Really like keeping him off guard. really like keeping him thinking, wait a minute, I might be wrong. What?
Non-negotiable. I want England to belong to the English. Okay.
You're living in the past, man.
No, I'm not living in the past.
That's gone.
England's not gone. England will thrive.
A lot of his arguments boil down to this kind of defeatism, like it's already over. You can't do it. It's impossible what you want to do. They'll never let you. They'll stop you. You're living in the past.
We will get our country back.
But how?
People like you leaving.
So someone's going to come knock on my door.
No, you'll get a letter.
I'll get a letter.
Yeah, give you time to get your affairs in order, and then you'll be.
I love how instant transition into let's talk about the mechanics. No, it's not a knock. You'll get a letter. Steve like thought this all out. You're gonna get a letter. Okay, we'll give you. You'll have 30 days to get your affairs in order, and then a van will show up. A van will show up at your door, and you'll get on.
Time
it.
got stuff to get in.
Well, this is open.
A few weeks.
Personally, I would give you. It would be in stages. I wouldn't just go. Everyone's going at one time. I would start with the illegal immigrants, and then I'd go into the foreign criminals, ease it into the public so they can get used to deportations. Then you go for the immigrants that are not working. Then you go for the immigrants that are subverting institutions and so forth. And then you go for mandatory deportations, and you do it in a staged process. How long that takes?
Just to be clear, you're in the subverting category, so that's when you go.
peaceful negotiations. But ultimately, millions have to leave my country or my people are going to be replaced in our homeland. That's my line. I don't care who you are. Anyone who's foreign has to go, and I'm going to keep that line until we get our country back. You may say that this is unreasonable and this is hard, but if you look at the likes of Bob Villan, let's say that mixed race fella that was shouting, "Heard you want your country back." Most people would never dream of calling for deportations of mixed race people and so forth, right? It's not their average go-to British person. I would, but it's not the average British person's position. But the moment he was saying, "I heard you want your country back," everyone's like, "Deport this man, get him out of my country." So when they're threatened and they realise that their future is at stake and this person's putting them in a position where they feel like they've got something to lose, people react very differently to how they think they would in person.
Right. I think you're just fighting my corner here, because I'm saying based on someone's behaviour and actions, we decide whether or not they get to stay in the country. So I agree with you because of what that Bob Villan guy said.
I don't base someone.
No, because even if you're not aiming for like 100% English people who have who would pass a 23andMe with 100% British DNA. It's about reasserting the identity of the nation as like, we are a nation of the English people. That's what we are concerned with, right? As a country, as England, as Britain, we are concerned with the well-being and the future and the posterity and the prosperity of the English people. Once you just have that as your guiding principle, everything else sort of follows naturally from there. The problem with all the Western countries is they've given that up. They've given up their identity and they've said, "Oh, that's evil. We're all civic nationalists. We're all economic zones. And what we're concerned with is increasing the GDP," right? So it's undoing that and saying, no, actually, our primary concern is not the GDP. Our primary concern is not refugees from Ooga Booga land. Our primary concern is our people. And that is a specific group of people. It's not everybody who was born here over the last 1,000 years.
And their actions
You
and
just
behaviour.
said because of what he said.
No,
Everyone was on board.
Yeah,
not because he's mixed race.
No, but that's why they was on board. I'm not saying that's the position I would take. I'm saying that's the position that the public would. You're misinterpreting what I was saying there. Ultimately, what I'm saying is the public will move to that position when they feel threatened.
Yeah, when they feel threatened by someone's actions, when someone's getting up on stage saying, "Heard you want your country back," they go, "Get out, mate."
Yeah, and why is he in this country?
Well, because his parents are from it. I think he probably has a white parent.
There's a white parent who also has a non-white parent. If that non-white was not into the country, he wouldn't even be existing. He wouldn't be here.
Yeah.
He wouldn't be here to tell us we want our country back.
Again, like, if the Normans didn't come in, if the
You keep going back to
but
the
that's
Normans.
history.
Yeah, history.
That's history. It's
Yeah.
changed too quickly recently. We agree on that. It's been too quick. It's been overwhelming. And I agree as well. We need people with more similar.
It's good that the whole country is going brown, but I just think we should slow it down a little bit. That's an even better definition of civic nationalist than a liberal who doesn't like Islam. An even better definition is somebody who wants your whole country to turn brown just a little bit slower than what's currently happening. That's a civic nationalist.
Culture, if we're going to be
That's a
moving them
classical liberal.
over. I get it, like people from Europe, for example. I agree as well that skin colour can be an issue. I think mostly because the woke make it an issue by constantly pushing diversity policies. They're telling people, don't look at skin colour, but by the way, we're going to implement policies.
But even using the argument of skin colour, that completely disarrays from what we're arguing about. Race is more than skin colour. Mm-hmm. It's down to diet, to IQ, to behaviour, to all sorts of factors. So just pinpointing it and saying, it's because they're black. Mm-hmm. Of course, they are black, but they're also foreign. Mm. I don't want Albanians here. They're not black. They're not brown. No, because Albanians come over, they sell drugs, they create gangs, they cause violence.
Yeah.
Just like when the Muslims come over, they create problems, they attack people. They create rape gangs and so forth. When the Jews come over, they get involved in organisations. They call for more immigrants.
Aren't they the ones in that that Netflix movie, Athena or whatever? Wait. Oh, no, I'm thinking of Algerians. I'm a retard. Sorry. Mensa moment. Crack on.
They subvert institutions and they push their own as high as they possibly can.
Yeah.
Because all of these groups have self-interest, and you can't blame that. I have self-interest. My interest is the English people, and my priority is the English people. All of these foreigners have the same interest, but for their own. not for us. And push comes to shove, you may say, yeah, this geezer's nice. He loves it. He supports England, blah, 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 blah. But when push comes to shove and it's our people or his people, he's choosing his people. When push comes to shove and you had to choose between the English people and the Jewish people, you're choosing the Jewish people.
I'm choosing the English people.
Okay, so all of my guys went to do a protest outside a synagogue.
Yeah.
You're going to side with me, or are you going to side with the Jews?
What are you protesting?
Immigration.
Why are you protesting outside the
Because
synagogue?
the rabbis funding a NGO organisation that's flooding the country with immigrants.
I would take him to task. I would speak to him and say, "What are you doing, mate? What are you doing?
Slow down, mate.
Stop this.
It's too
It's
fast.
ridiculous. Immigration's gone through
And he
the
says,
roof."
no, I'm not stopping this.
Then I say,
I'm going to fight against these
Then,
fascists and
I agree with you.
Nazis.
Then get out, mate. Get out. Done with you. Get out of here.
Okay, so you're slightly different to other people.
Stupid rabbi.
But it doesn't change my position.
I don't. I think you'd be surprised if you actually got out. And I mean, you've said before that you grew up in a very white area.
Kessler.
And I think, without wanting to revert to what is typically quite a woke argument, if you had grown up around people from different cultures and ethnicities, I think you'd be able to at least see them as more human.
It's not that I don't see them as human. I just don't see them as my own.
Yeah, but unfortunately,
If they lived in their own homeland, I wish them all the best. Crack on, mate.
you saw let's go back to the realism argument here of what you want to implement, right? You saw what happened when they tried to take a kid away from some traveller family, right? And where was that?
Yeah.
Up in near Leeds somewhere, wasn't it?
Yeah, the
Right.
Leeds Hackshore or something like that. I can't
The whole
remember.
city nearly burned down because they wanted to take kids away from what might have been abusive parents. Imagine going through and taking millions and millions and millions of people
and how
who
those
haven't
kids-
done anything wrong.
How that happens, though, what's not being told is the civil servants have already tipped off the locals on what's going to happen. The NGO groups are in there rallying them up and winding them up. And the police didn't even go in there heavy-handed. They turned up, knocked on the door. They got mobbed by all of the foreigners in the area, and then backed off and went. When in reality, you send a task force who's going to say, right, we're taking this person. It doesn't matter how wound up they're getting. This person's getting deported because they deserve to be deported for whatever reason.
Yeah.
If that person was a murderer,
So would we
if
have
that person, let's just say hypothetically, if that was an English person who was a murderer or something, that person's not getting away with it because the community came out and said, no, actually, mate.
Yeah, but these people haven't committed crimes.
Yes,
That's
but they
the point.
have. The crime is that they're in our country.
But they didn't commit a crime by coming into this country, did they? That's
They
you're
are
talking
victims.
about
They're
a
victims of
moral
immigration.
crime.
Yeah, they're victims of immigration by being here and being promised a land and a future that's not actually available to them.
Legal immigrants did not commit a crime by entering the country.
The way that the politics is changing in this country, there is going to be mass deportations. There is going to be remigration. Whether it goes as far as I want it or not, that's open to
No,
discussion.
it definitely won't. It's not open to discussion.
You
There's
can't say that. You physically can't say that.
I can
You can't
say it.
How can you
Of course
say
I can
that?
say it, because
100 years ago, they would say there was no such place as Israel, and it's never going to go. And you're never going to have an Israel.
Sure,
You're never going to have a land, and then all of a sudden, now there's an Israel. That was never going to happen. Now you've got it. To say that I can't take my country back is nonsense.
Yeah.
You're only saying it because you've got skin in the game.
That's
and you've
not
got
true at all.
self-interest.
That's not true at all.
Well,
I
here's
think,
the thing.
Why is Tommy Robinson saying it?
Because Tommy Robinson has loads of foreign friends. He promotes multiculturalism. He's a Zionist piece of shit. And that's why he promotes all of that.
What's wrong with Zionism if you're also pro the idea of a country?
Because
having its
he's
own
not
ethnicity?
pro-England, he's pro-Israel. He's pro-Israel before pro-England. His priorities are Israel before England.
I don't think that's true.
I do.
Why do you think that's true?
Because that's all of his interests.
Well,
that's
it's in the name Zionism, right? Again, so if you're a Zionist, then you support a Jewish ethno-state. And if you do that, it's one thing if you do that and but if you're a civic nationalist at home, but an ethno-nationalist for Jews, then yeah, you're a piece of shit and a traitor, of course.
So would you say you're, compared to the average mainstream person, more extreme than the likes of Nick Fuentes?
I wouldn't say I'm more extreme. I'm just different on a different spectrum.
We have the contemporary census of Jews going down in Europe from 9.5 million to 3.5 million. We have Goebbels' diary. We have accounts from the Nazis. So if we are at a point in society where we just go, I don't know, I'm just going to say Tommy's this and he's getting paid when you've got no evidence. I don't know, the Jews are this. The Holocaust numbers are probably not right, even though we have Nazis.
I don't trust the narrative.
And you say that there's no room in your mind for doubt. Then what is the point of any? It just sounds like you've got a mad belief now.
You can refer to my ideology however you.
I wish there was more to it. I wish there was
however you
it was backed up by stats.
My position is simple, Andrew. I want my country back. I want England for the English. I do not want to be demographically replaced in my homeland.
Yeah.
My position is total remigration until everyone goes.
Not going to work.
It's a very simple. You may disagree, but it's a very simplistic line to take, right? That's the line I want. I want my country back. I do not care who I offend. I do not care about the emotional arguments.
Good on you.
I do not care about all of the nonsense around I was born here or I came over legally politically, or I'm a good one, I've paid tax and I've won a Nobel Prize or so forth, that means nothing to me. What I'm saying is it's irrelevant what your achievements are. You're just still not English. This is still not your land.
Well, it is, because Jews have been here since 1066. And look, I get your point. I don't know why Jews aren't part of it if they've been here since 1066. I get that they were expelled for 100 or 200 or 300 years and then came straight back and have still been here for hundreds and hundreds of years. It's
expelled for 200-300 years and then straight back. Yeah, so 1,000 years is a really long time if it means that I get to be English, but 300 years is just like the blink of an eye if it means I don't get to be English or whatever.
Just to go back to the 1600s.
Kicked out 200, 300 years, straight back.
And send people back to wherever they were there, as it would be for black people who have been here for a very long time. I do get your point, though, around, look, if
kicked out for no reason at all, by the way. Kicked out for no reason at all, by the way. Kicked out because they were being taxed too much. Hey, Grok, why were the Jews kicked out of England? Well, they were being taxed unfairly. Nothing else. And they were being taxed unfairly, nothing else.
Scapegoats
Scapegoats.
Just moved over here. Do we then say they're English? This is not easy, right? I get it. If a Jewish person as well just moved over just from their parents, it's not easy. That's why this Welsh choir boy idea about, what's his name, Rudolf Cabana, that's absurd, right? It's not a Welsh choir boy, is it? So I have sympathy with that. But ultimately, firstly, it's undoable. You can't go about just kicking out those people. The English people don't want it. Most English people don't want it. You're a complete minority.
At the moment.
They'll never want that.
No, Brexit didn't happen until it did.
Yeah, but they did want Brexit. I mean,
but not everyone did at first.
Yeah, well, I don't think you're going to get British people, English people, even people who have families who go back 1,000 years, kicking out the likes of Ian Wright from this country.
Well, I believe that will happen. Total remigration. Like I say, you're gonna be on a different spectrum from me. Yeah. You've got self-interest for Jewish interest because you are Jewish.
It's not just Jews.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying. Okay, so all minority groups. Let's say you've got a sympathetic approach for them because you are a minority.
If I were Steve, that portable orange guy, I might try to debate him sometime in the next month or so, because I got too busy before the holidays, but he wants to do that conversation. It'd be like a very similar conversation. But what I will do, and what Steve Laws could do here to not be so much on the back foot all the time, is to just talk about the problems of immigration and press Andrew Gold of, why do you support this? Right? So the study was done in the UK, so it's perfect, about the juries and how black people convict white people. Like, he should be attacking Andrew Gold on that stuff. He's like, look, this is a study. It shows that statistically, if I'm accused of a crime I didn't commit, black people will send me to jail. They won't convict guilty black people. So why should I want black people in my country? And then make Andrew Gold defend why it's okay. If you love the so-called British culture, like you said, and you support the legal system and all of this stuff, then why is it okay to have a group of people who ruin the system just by their presence? And make him defend stuff like that. And make him explain why that should be tolerated, right? Because what Andrew Gold is doing is he's saying, oh yeah, I agree. People who behave poorly, like, we got to judge them on their behavior. And it's like, well, look, these are like statistical facts about these groups, and about, that's just one, there's a whole bunch of stuff like that. That's one example, right? Instead of just showing up and being like, look, mate, I don't like foreigners, simple as, bring some ammo with you. Bring some ammo with you to hit him with and say, why do you support this? Why do you support a legal system that is ruined by the presence of blacks, as proven by this study, et cetera, et cetera?
So you put yourself in a similar category to them. Whether you like to admit it or not, you see yourself as other.
Look, the same goes for you. I get it, and you feel scared and you feel trapped and you're looking around going, shit, this is changing. And I agree with you. It is scary and it has happened too fast and things need to be done about that.
Fast.
But if I'm seeing someone who is motivated not by facts, but by fear, and it's just completely undoable, and it goes completely against British, what I would
right, again,
do.
if you had a bunch of ammo with you prepared, then that would be facts, right? Like I brought this up in the my racism video, but another thing I would say is, like, look at New York. Look, you have a guy who says we're going to tax whites, and then you have his supporters saying, I can't wait to stick it to white people. And so it's, again, as a white person, why should the GDP, and by the way, accepting that all these nons, all this immigration is good for the GDP, I don't even believe that, but it's a very like difficult thing to argue. And that's what they say. That's what supporters say. They say it's good for the economy. So let's just say, okay, I accept that. These people want to vote against me, and they're going to use their like animosity, their anti-white animosity to like elect people to take shit from me. Why should the GDP be more important to me than the fact that as soon as we're a minority, we're going to get outvoted by racial blocs who want to take our shit? So that's like another piece of ammo, and then have him defend that, because it's not individuals. You need to attack. If you want to be a collectivist, as Sargon of Akkad would say, you need to attack them on a collective level. Otherwise, he's just going to make you look like a weird, intolerant bigot who doesn't know anything and who has these weird, made-up beliefs. You have to bring some examples of the problems with these group dynamics.
British values of fairness and equality.
Those fairness and equality values of what led our people to be demographically replaced in our homeland. It's what's led to the rape gangs. It's what's led to the drug gangs. It's what's led to the assaults and the murders of our people. That's why
that was perverted fairness.
It doesn't matter. It's still what led to it.
No, but it wasn't what I'm talking about, though. That wasn't liberalism and how it should be carried out. That wasn't my idea of what a liberal society is. That was basically communism, or social communism of some sort. That was people going equity. That was people bringing people in and denigrating our own culture and saying to those people that their culture is better and we must celebrate them. Instead of saying to them, if you come here,
No. You brought in a bunch of people and they're all rapists, and the ones who aren't rapists are going to run cover for the ones who are, as a community, including like the wives and the cousins of it's so foreign. It's so completely unlike the way any white people behave. And so I would stress that. I'd be like, look, man, it's not just that there was individual rapists and that the police looked the other way because they were being racist. The whole community acts together as an ethnic enclave to cover up their crimes because they're acting in their ethnic interests. This is why liberalism doesn't work, because people do not behave as individuals. They behave as groups.
Assimilate to this.
I don't
And
believe
if you
in
really were against that, then there's this like the paradox of liberalism in the Andrew Gold sense of the term is that it only works with white people. But to enforce that is illiberal, right? So that's the paradox. White people are the only liberals, but if you say, oh, we can't bring in big groups of browns because that will destroy liberalism, then that's like illiberal. So you have to bring them in and just let liberalism die. That's the paradox, right?
assimilation. I don't think it happens. Integration's complete myth.
Yeah, it's hard.
It's a poison pill. Yeah, I mean, that's true. According to the learned elders of Zion and their protocols, liberalism is a poison pill invented by Jews to destroy the Gentiles. So hard to argue with the results.
And that's not just those groups. We could go into Indians, we could go into Muslims, we could go into travellers. There's all various different groups. They just stick amongst their own. I live in a town called Folkestone. Just over from me is a little small town called Cheriton. That's where the Gurkhas are based. And they have taken over a whole portion of that town. They have their own shops, they have their own schools, they have their own, even like money shops and so forth. Like, it's all built around them. They keep themselves to themselves. And like, I'm not saying these are horrible people. They serve in the army and so forth, but they should still be going home because they're taking over areas of our country, claiming it for their own.
Yeah.
And it's just like a foreign enclave.
Look, I have sympathy with a lot of those thoughts. I do, and I think the Civnats or whatever do have crossover with the Ethnats. You know, I think there's a crossover in shit, man. You know, and a lot of what you're saying visibly.
My position is a reaction to the problems that are at hand.
Yeah.
That's a fair assessment.
But it's not realistic.
It doesn't matter whether you agree with it's realistic
no,
or
it's
not.
not. No one agrees with that.
Who you say no one? That's a complete lie.
Almost no one. You're not even in Homeland anymore because you're too extreme for them.
No, I left Homeland because it completely imploded.
But wasn't it? I read it was because a gay guy was involved.
It's not just because of a gay guy. There was massive problems internally from top to bottom. But yes, the one that brought onto the timeline was the gay drama that sort of escalated the whole situation, but that wasn't the founding reason for it destroying. There was fundamental issues with the remigration policies, with the direction we was going as a party, who we're going to appeal to and so forth. Whereas, for instance, the leadership of the Homeland Party wanted to appeal to the moderates. And I said, no, we should build up a baseline of nationalists first and then appeal out to the centre grounds, because without having a core activist base and ideology built up for the party, it's going to collapse when you bring in all of these people for the big tent when everyone doesn't really agree on it.
Smart and correct. And not only that, but when you have that core support group, it signals to normies that like, oh, this is actually okay for me to believe, you know what I mean? Because most people are like fairly conformist. So it's all about trying to reach that critical mass, right? So you can't go out as a small, just starting out party and be like, okay, we're going to appeal to the moderates, but we're actually radical. To me, there's nothing radical about loving your own people. That's like kind of, that framing is really frustrating that we've been forced to accept that. But putting that aside, if you just like look like a little fringe group, that's what you're going to look like. So you have to build up a group of people who are about it, you know, who are real niggas, who are on the right page. And once you have enough of them, then you can start to get people to be like, oh, you know, I've always actually wanted this. I just didn't want to like get ostracized from my community, but if this is acceptable, then cool. Yeah, let's get the foreigners out.
We'd have people that were Zionist, and we'd have people that weren't Zionist. We'd have people that sort of were like pagans, and we'd have people that were Christians and so forth. And all of these people have different goals at the end of the day. So getting this big tent of organisations is why it collapsed amongst itself.
There aren't enough people who simply agree with all of your causes. It's never going to work. That's the point.
So this is the thing he keeps coming back to. And I was going to say this earlier because he keeps like, well, what are you going to do? How, like, people aren't going to support it. They're going to riot. It's going to be a civil war. And really all Steve Laws has to say here is like, well, look, man, I'm not getting like geared up and going door to door to deport people tomorrow. My job is to convince people that they should support this, right? So that whole argument of like, there's not enough people supporting you, all you have to say to that is like, that's what I'm here to change. That's it. You don't have to be like, well, look, we're going to make it happen whether they like it or not.
A lot of people who will
at the
follow
moment,
Tommy.
At the moment, no. But there was a lot of people that wouldn't move towards Tommy's position when he first started out. And now look, everyone's anti-Muslim and so forth. So to say it's not going to happen is ridiculous.
Yeah, I can't imagine it happening.
Yeah, I know you can't, because it would mean you'd leave the country. You can't envision that.
You know what? It's funny you say that, because when I first started thinking about this idea, it didn't even occur to me that it might be Jews as well. I just thought black people from various other places, and that horrified me in itself. It horrifies me.
I don't discriminate. I don't discriminate on who I'm removing. I'm not. This is something like this is the thing. Like, I'm not going right just because you're black. All blacks have got to go. Everyone else is fine. Or all
Would
Indians
you
have
test
got to
some
go.
people?
No.
So how would you know?
What do you mean? How would you know?
Okay, so my name's Gold. That's how you know I'm Jewish. There's plenty of people who I know who are Jewish who do not have Jewish names. You wouldn't know they're not Jewish. What would you do?
There'll be records.
There'll be records. No, not always.
Well, mostly. They will both be records.
Christopher Hitchens. He didn't know he was Jewish.
Check your dick. Pull your pants down, mate.
Until he was
Let's see your foreskin. Foreskin check.
in his 50s or something, and he found out that his mum had hid that she was Jewish.
Yeah.
Right? What would we do with Hitchens? Would he be kicked out?
Yeah.
This is mental. And was he
Total
kicked out-
remigration. Everyone
kicked
has to
out
go.
after he found out? How would you have
Total
found out?
remigration.
Hitchens is like a mass. First of all, I don't know what percentage Jewish Hitchens was, but I mean, that doesn't surprise me that much. It's because funny. Hitchens is like a hero. He's like the big like atheist here. Like they love him so much. But like Hitchens was not that great. Kind of sucked, actually. I've thought about doing a video takedown of Hitchens, but it's like, what's the point?
His mum had hidden it his whole
Total
life.
remigration is my line, right?
Yeah, but you won't
And
know.
it's complicated. It's complicated. Yes, and there would be an awful lot of work and research that would have to go in to find out who would have to be removed and so forth. And the easiest way to do
But this is like saying Hitchens would get deported. You're going to lose so many people there. But how Jewish is he anyways?
Yeah, we have a problem. We do have an issue, and this is what I try to address on Heretics every week. I think there's a difference in how we feel it's still not authoritarian to deal with this. And I would say, look, if we're having a lot of problem with the Pakistani Muslim community, the way to do it is to deport any criminals involved in any of this, absolutely, and to stop having more immigration from those
So
places.
I'll just take it back to the collective punishment. The Palestinians, Hamas who attacked Israel. Do you think the collective punishment on Palestine is justified?
No, not really, but it's a war. That's war, unfortunately.
Yes, but it is collective punishment, though, isn't it?
Uh,
You was attacked on October 7th.
Actually, international law distinguishes collateral. It's actually collateral civilian harm, and in a war, like that's okay. So,
And
this is not an easy.
right, okay. So Pakistanis rape white girls. So we say now we're at war. Okay. If you call it a war, that's different. You just call it a war, then you get to do what you want. That's awfully convenient. Jews get to do what they want because they call it a war. They get to kill as many kids as they want because actually, according to international law, that's not a collective punishment. When you carpet bomb civilians, that's just collateral damage. Oh, so the Holocaust wasn't a collective punishment because it was war.
These are
but it's
difficult
true,
philosophical
though.
questions.
So this is the thing. Like, your people are collectively punishing people right now, but me suggesting it is in the UK is all of a sudden
It's at
abhorrent.
war with a different nation, and
Doesn't
the
matter.
rules, yeah, of course it does. Of course it does.
It's not a fair war. It's not a fair war at all. You're bombing children.
Unfortunately, that's happened, and that's Hamas's fault for putting them in the way. Of,
That is a bummer. They're killing a bunch of kids, but again, it's war. So it's okay when Jews kill kids, but it's not okay when you deport people back to their country. Killing kids, bummer. Got to do what you got to do when you're at war. Deporting rapists and their family members, that's immoral.
the bombs. What do you do with that?
So
When
you're
they're
okay.
firing
Yeah,
at
but
you
this
from
is
a
the thing.
school.
You're okay with collective punishment.
I don't think I am, but it's an interesting point. I think it's really hard to get to those. What do you do with that? What
Exactly.
do you do when it's a war?
So from the Israeli perspective, whether I agree or disagree is irrelevant.
Well, do you agree with that?
No. I don't think you should be bombing children like you are. You're flattening their country. Of course, you can
Well, I thought
retaliate.
you were
You
for
can retaliate.
collective punishment.
You can retaliate when you're attacked, right?
Yeah. Well, they've done that 100 times, and they keep getting attacked and
And
killed.
now you've flattened their homeland, and there are loads of dead children.
Unfortunately, that's what's happened. I mean, Israel pulled out of Gaza 20 years ago and just got constantly attacked by Palestine.
But Israel's also expanded multiple times since it's founded.
It only expanded after being attacked, and that was to take advantageous positions, such as on mountains, so you can see where you're being attacked from. Doesn't mean that the settlers haven't been wrong. Many of the settlers who have moved into these places. Israel's probably one of the most complicated geopolitical issues in the world, so we're not going to be able to solve it in 2 or 3 minutes.
Of course not.
There's no easy answers. I know YouTube wants easy answers, and they want me to say like, what should but what do you do if you're an Israeli at the same time? You've got to protect Israeli people, like you want to do
So
here.
now I'm an Englishman.
I just find it really interesting how it's like, okay, so Hamas comes in and kills people, and then that's an attack. But when a white person gets murdered every day by a black person, that's just crime. Why? How is it different though? Really, what's the difference?
English girls I'm seeing English girls get raped and
Yeah.
abused and
To quote Piers Morgan, what's the difference to the victims?
so forth by this demographic, and I'm saying.
See,
they
I
should
see
all
myself
leave.
as English
And
as
I'm not
well,
even-
so I get hurt by that as well. I know you don't see me as English. I do see myself as English. I know even people on my own side of this do not. And I respect their opinions as well, because English can mean, I believe, 2 different kinds of things. I think a cultural identity and a feeling, like Tommy would say, if you think you're English, and all of that.
I completely disagree, though.
Yeah, but unfortunately, like if we were going to have this kind of war or this battle that you're talking about, where we have we need to go for whatever we want English values to be, you would find yourself with a lot of Jews, black people, Asians on your side, and a lot of white English on the other side against you and us.
Yeah. No, I understand the complex of the situation. I understand everything is very complex. There are different factions all over the place creating all sorts of problems. But my line still remains the same, regardless of all the noise going on around me.
Yeah.
And you've also pretty much agreed that you're okay with collective punishment to an extent if it means it threatens Israel.
In war.
Yeah.
War. And if Britain were at
and
war, I
would-
agree with the same on
What
Dresden.
happened to October 7th, right?
Yeah.
Led to you attacking them, right?
Not me attacking
No,
them.
but your people, okay?
I don't see them as my people because I don't think ethnically the same way as you do.
Okay, well, that's how I see it. So
Okay.
I'll just use that as a.
It led to those
simplify it.
people attacking.
Yeah, it led to those
yeah.
people attacking them,
To-
right?
to root out Hamas.
And how many of those terror attacks have happened in the UK?
No, well, look, absolutely.
And
but-
are we not justified to go right? these immigrants have done too much damage in our country now. I think it's time they leave. We're not sitting here. Actually, I think it's time we go and flatten their homeland and destroy all of their kids. No, we're just saying let's just send them home. We're not even going that far.
This is exactly what I was saying.
There isn't a home.
Yeah, but you're not at war, mate. It's not a war.
There is a home, though.
So I get the feeling, I get wanting to do that. I understand.
Where's there not a home
that.
for someone to go to?
Because there isn't. Those kids only ever knew England.
It doesn't matter.
Their parents often only knew England.
It doesn't
Their
matter.
grandparents knew England.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
But I think you struggle to empathise with people like that. I know plenty of people like that. Well, I suppose myself included, though I never even thought I was part of that discussion. But so many people like that who are just like, the idea of sending them to where? Some random country?
So here's the crazy thing.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, it's so absurd to send this person to a country they've never been to. But the idea of bringing...
If, let's say, some weird alternate timeline where Anglos were like a real minority in North America, and North America was actually like, whatever... all German. I know there's a lot of Germans, but like ideally it would be non-white to make the point. Let's say North America was made by Asians and it was like 90% Asian. And then they said, okay, you're going back to England. I wouldn't be like, England? Some weird place that I have no connection? It's like, no, that's like my ancestral homeland. I want to go there to visit in the same way that Steve Gold has gone to Israel twice to visit because I have a connection to the place. He's acting like it's some totally disconnected, weird foreign thing. No, if we were a tiny minority here and the people who built the country were like, it's time for you to leave because multiculturalism is causing too much problems. My only complaint about getting sent to England would be that there's too many non-English people there. That's the only reason I wouldn't want to go to England.
Bringing them here to a country they've never been to is fine.
But they didn't. They were born here, the ones we're talking about.
Yeah, but their parents or their grandparents brought them over.
Yeah.
And they came to a country that they'd never been to before.
Yeah.
And it's abhorrent. How can they go to a country that they've never been to?
As happened with the Normans, as happens with Celts and Anglo-Saxons.
So using this argument that they've never been in that land before is ridiculous.
That they're using this argument they've never been here before. Oh, in the other land. Yeah, but they moved here because they wanted to move here.
Yeah,
they
but we didn't
want
them here. It was against our will. No British people have ever, other than the small minority that work in these NGO factions and stuff, no British people have asked for more immigrants. No British people have ever asked for any of this. It's been forced upon us.
Many British people have asked for it. Loads and loads and loads of British people. These are the people that we complain about every day. Come on.
Small minority groups.
Not small minorities, there's loads of them.
The overwhelming majority of the English people have never, ever asked for more immigration. They don't want it. If they was given the choice to ask without any consequences, and it was anonymously, the overwhelming majority would say they want them gone.
Yeah, there's been too much immigration, unfortunately. I think the overwhelming majority would say they wouldn't want to push people out who were born here. We know that for a fact.
I'd say the position most people would be at is they would want to stop immigration at the moment, deport all the illegals and foreign criminals, and maybe some of the dangerous ones that they don't trust, probably like all the Muslims and stuff, right? That's about as far as the public would go at the moment.
Push out dangerous people based on their actions.
At the moment.
That's a huge jump.
At the moment.
A jump to then just getting innocent people and kicking them out. I would like to think that the British people will never do that.
Yeah, you'd like to think that.
Yeah.
Because it's self-interest for you.
And because there's no evidence to show that that otherwise you would have loads of support. You're a well-spoken person. You're quite bright. You've got Twitter and all that. You should have more people following you than Tommy Robinson if there was any chance of this happening. They're not into it. They don't want it.
Tommy Robinson is an activist that's been around for around 15, 20 years almost. He's also internationally known. And I'm relatively new to the scene, so arguing that I should be bigger is a bit silly.
Well, you'd have some amount of...
I've got 127,000 followers. I've got more than you, and you've been around longer.
I've only started the last couple of years as well.
So there you go. But you've also had the platform with BBC and so forth pushing you. I've had none of that.
I haven't had them pushing me.
You have over your career, though. Over your career, you've had the chance to be on the BBC and so forth.
I sold one documentary to them, and then they told me because I was a white man, I wasn't allowed to do more.
Should have told them he was Jewish.
I did tell them that. They laughed and said, get out of here. I eventually told them that, but I hated the idea that they would even have given me a job because of a minority or whatever. It's the most absurd thing that could ever happen. It's ridiculous. And I'm sure we agree on that.
But using back to the argument that I should have a bigger platform.
Okay, so that's his origin story as a heretic, is that he was like discriminated against for being white. Got it. I hate all the problems, but I would never, ever, ever do anything to fix it.
Until going on, like, for instance, you've platformed me now, and Liam Tuss before. Before then, people wouldn't platform me. So you're saying you should have a bigger platform without being platforms. It's a bit difficult. Like Tommy Robinson
It
was
is.
going
This
on
is
to
a
like
really
Good Morning
stupid
Britain.
argument from Andrew. This is like maybe the dumbest thing he's said yet. They're like, oh well, you don't have enough followers, therefore your idea is not good.
Went on Good Morning Britain and stuff like that.
I suppose that's true.
It's a logical fallacy.
It's a difficult one, but I look. Maybe I'm wrong. And people will let me know in the comments. And I think they'll probably be weighted towards you in some as they were in Liam's.
Well, we don't know. We've got different. You've got a completely different audience to Liam, so
It's not that different.
oh, is it not?
No.
I thought yours was more centre grounds than.
We're
Sigma.
quite similar, but I'm posher.
Posher.
So, yeah, Liam and I. It makes a difference. You know, when Douglas Murray says what he says, it's much more acceptable than when Tommy Robinson says what he says. You know, people are they're willing to accept ideas from posher sounding people, which is in itself a horrible bias.
Yeah.
So, well, it remains to be seen in the next few years if people do go for what you're saying. I think it's an emotional.
So, just a pushback on that.
Yeah, go on.
What's your position as a Jewish man in England? What would you like England to look like? If you had power tomorrow to make what you wished happen, how would you see it?
Do you know the Michaela School? Catherine Burble Singh. She runs this school in Wembley. They've got. I think she says like 90% Muslims there. It's something mad.
Is that the one with the big frizzy hair?
Yes,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
right.
yeah.
She is very, very nationalist for this country. She's not even from here, but she loves the country, she loves its history. She teaches it in a way where people can be proud of what they've assimilated into. And I think that
English. The answer here is English would be brown and Muslim, but also proud of being English. Wow.
That's kind of a microcosm of what I want to see in Britain. It doesn't mean I don't worry. A lot of us do worry the same way you do about, gosh, all these different ethnicities who are going to have different ties to different tribes and different countries and things like that. But I think before even thinking about anything else, we've got to look at ourselves and go, why the hell have we been denigrating our own culture, our own history, only talking about, for example, on the BBC, extolling the bad parts of empire, for example.
It's like the madman meme. Okay, hear me out. Ethnic replacement, but with patriotism. That's what he's saying right now. Ethnic replacement, but it's patriotic.
Well, not what empire brought to the world and brought to people and the good that we've done in this country. And telling people when they get here that we celebrate their culture more than our own. That is suicidal as a country. And I think that's what's led to the issues and it's led to the concerns you have. And I think
if you was in power, you would just change the culture?
I would incentivize British people, whatever that exactly means. We'd have to nail that down. But people from here who love this country to have more children.
Yeah, let's nail
so that
that
there isn't
down.
this constant stress on the economy whereby people think, I think wrongly, we have to bring in immigrants from other countries to support it. I would try and make
we already
it more
know Konstantin Kissin's definition of British. It's somebody who supports homosexuality.
acceptable for Christianity
That's not a joke.
thrive in this country.
I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but that's basically what he said.
Deport illegal immigrants, stop the boats, obviously, stop putting people in these kinds of hotels, take away the ECHR as well, so that we can actually have the power to do some of these things. Loads of quite drastic measures that I think would rapidly change what's going on, but
that what you've just presented there would not reverse the demographic decline. Would still become a minority in our homeland.
At some point, unfortunately, white people, and I count myself among them, will become a minority and will probably go extinct.
We are a worldwide minority already, which is why I take the radical stance that the English...
Right, so there's the line I've been waiting for this whole time. And again, just earlier, Steve Laws said, my people are being holocausted. And he said, oh, that's a really stupid thing to say. And now he's like, well, I don't like it. I'm not like happy about it, but hey, man, it is what it is. Whatever else he may have said where he made Steve look like shaky or anything like that, I don't know how you hear that and you don't think, well, like, to hell with this guy then. It's such a like, hey, man, it's already over. I don't like it, but we're all going to have to die. There's no future for white people. Sorry. We lost. The white race lost. We just don't have the numbers. It's over, Steve. Fuck you. That's like the best argument you could make for everything Steve is saying.
have the right to exist. We have the right to our own homelands. Everyone agrees on that, right?
Yeah.
That's the basis
I think
line.
so. I think so.
I think that's the basis line.
It depends what you mean by English. That's the issue.
We already disagree on the meaning of English.
Yeah.
So there's that. Okay, but ultimately... with the direction that the country's going, the future of our people is at stake, the most radical stance that we have to take to fix this is okay with me. I don't care what we have to do. I don't care who gets caught in the crossfires. I don't care how much damage gets done along the way, as long as the future of my people is secured. That's my line, and that's the hill I'm dying on. You may disagree with the approach, you may disagree with the argument. I generally don't care. And I don't mean that horribly. I mean, you've been polite enough to me since I've come on and so forth, but I just generally don't care. England belongs to the English. I want my country back, and I will die on that hill fighting for it.
Yeah. Look, I've got sympathy for that, but as I said, without wanting to sound repetitive, I don't think you can define English easily enough. I think it's too difficult to do. It's too difficult to implement that. You didn't give me what I think would be a satisfying response to how we work out if someone's parents are sufficiently English and if their grandparents are sufficiently English. I think it's unworkable. And so if you actually want to affect change instead of wanting to look like you're affecting change, as the woke do, there's the horseshoe theory, and I feel like your side and their side want to look good to their people. We're going to do that. We have to look at what will actually work, and that will not work. You cannot go through a whole country and start finding their hospital records to know where they
Again, I get what he's saying, that sounds weird to the average person. And it sounds even weird kind of to me to be like, well, we're going to it would be more straightforward to just say we're going to DNA test everyone. That would sound more practical than we're going to go through your hospital records and figure out who you are. But putting that aside, once you say white people are going extinct and that's just the conversation's over, you know what I mean?